Happy video day, guys. So today I'm actually really excited because I was looking at some of the old videos that I've done, and usually what I do is I go over like all the products that I loved last year and I put like in my favorites, like the best of the year video. And then I said, you know what, for this year, I want to go over the products from 2019, the ones that I thought were the best of the year, and I want to rank them this year. So basically this is going to be a ranking of my 2019 favorites in 2020. I want to see how many of them I'm actually using all the time, and I want to put them in a rankings and kind of give you guys like a little insight on where are they now? Do I still like them? And you guys will see who is number one on this list, meaning that I still use it like all the time and I'm obsessed still. So if you guys are excited, I would love it if you go ahead and hit subscribe, join the family. Don't forget, hit the bell, do all that good stuff so you actually see my videos, and let's get into it. Okay, so there's 20 products that I had at the best of 2019 video. I have them all laid out in front of me except one that I have no idea where it is, and I figured that if I kept on looking for it, Lexi was gonna wake up and I would never be able to film this video. So I might as well just go on without the product. So I'll put a picture of it. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's start with number 20. So number 20 was a product that I really liked last year, and it's in the bottom of this list because I'm not a huge fan of it this year. This is the Marc Jacobs Gel Liner. So now I remember when I first bought this, I used this like crazy. I loved this liner. That was why it was in the best of the year. Like I was like, this is amazing. What started to happen is this thing started to dry out. So what happens sometimes with us makeup reviewers or people who like to purchase a lot of makeup for YouTube is some products get put aside because you get new products. You need to try so many different things. So this is one of those products that got kind of like put aside. And then when I pulled it out again, because I was like, ooh, I love that, I want to use it, it was drying up on me. So now it's super hard to use. So I'm like, ugh. I really liked this product, but it just didn't have the long-lasting power that I would need for an eyeliner. So it's in number 20 because now it's just not as good as it used to be. So that's what happens with time. You get to see the full true picture of products, and this guy had to get thrown down there. Number 19 I gave to this guy. So this is the e.l.f. Glow Gleam Beam Highlighter. So now this problem, there's really no huge problem with this highlighter that it's on the bottom of the list. It's just honestly, I didn't use highlighters in 2020. So even though this was like a highly used product in 2019 and I really loved it and I thought it was the best and I really thought that for the price point and what you got, it was such a good product, in 2020, I didn't pull out highlighters. And it's because we hardly go anywhere. Like honestly, because of this whole pandemic, I mean, I'm not going nowhere. So last thing I'm doing is highlighting my face. So number 18 is going to go to the Bareminerals Complexion Rescue Hydrating Stick. So now the reason that this guy is all the way down in the bottom is because this was something that I used to use a lot when I would go to the office. It was a very easy product to apply. I would just put it on the face and kind of like blend it into the skin. I think it's still a really good product, especially if you like stick foundations, but you want it to feel a little bit more like a liquid foundation. Problem is this year I really haven't been going into the office. Everything has been remote. So I have found other products that I even like better than this one, and it's totally possible my skin has changed, or you know, I just found some other products that I like even better. So I did repurchase this a few times last year, and this year I didn't repurchase it, and I'm okay with that. I actually have a foundation that I love this year. It's the one I'm wearing today. We'll get into that when I do my favorites video for the entire year, but yeah, so I haven't really used it this year. Okay, so this one was one that I really liked, and have I pulled this out this year? I think I pulled it out like once. So it's the Jeffree Star Concealer. Honestly, guys, I loved this when it came out, but there has been a big shift for me when it comes to concealers and the color I like to use. This one tends to be just too light. I've been using more skin toned concealers because my makeup has been a little bit more toned down. I'm not doing like the whole very vampy look because there really is no point in it. So I really just haven't pulled this out. I do remember that the concealer itself is a good concealer. I think it's a combination of the product, also the stuff that has been happening with the brand, and it's just, you know, like when you have something in your drawer, it just doesn't have like the best like aura around it and you just kind of like don't use it that year. I think that that's what happened in 2020 with this product. I just didn't really gravitate to it. Now, it's not a bad product. It definitely works really good, and it's a nice concealer. Okay, so number 16 was one I really enjoyed last year. It's the Dark Edit right down here. This, because I combined two different Viseart palettes in here, but it's the one down here. So now the Dark Edit is a beautiful palette. What I started to notice with it is just every time I would use it, I would want to pull another palette to use with it. And also, because the year has been such a strange year, a lot of the looks that I've been creating have been a little bit lighter, and this Dark Edit is just like one of those really vampy look type of palettes. Like when I pull it out, I want to do something very smoky, very dark, and I just feel like this year hasn't been about that. So even though it's a beautiful formula, I still really honestly love the palette. It just hasn't been the year for it. I just haven't gravitated to it that much this year. I do think mixing it with other palettes kind of helps it lighten up a little bit more, but a lot of other palettes have released this year that I feel like I've been gravitating to more. Okay, so number 15 is the Laura Mercier Radiance Lumiere Foundation. So now the reason that this one I have at 15 is because I really love this foundation. It's a really, really nice one, but this is one that makes you look very flawless, and also it gives you a little bit of luminosity, and it's a little bit mattified. So it's like almost like a natural foundation. I love the way it looks on my skin. It covers everything. It gives you a very glamified look, at least for me, because I don't usually typically wear very full coverage foundations. I'm usually like medium. I feel like this one is pretty up there, you know, it's like medium to full. It just does a beautiful job covering the skin, but I haven't really had a need for that type of foundation this year. So it probably would not even be ranked as a favorite for the year, like, or the best of the year, because it's just not something that I gravitated to. I just never had a need, except for just recently that I've been taking like a little bit more glamified pictures and I wanted to like do something a little bit heavier. Then I grabbed it, but other than that, everything has been a lot lighter. Okay, so now let's go on to 14, which is the HourGlass Ghost Palette. Now, I love the Ghost Palette. I love it so much. I think it's such a beautiful palette. I think they did an awesome job curating this palette. I use this quite a lot, like especially when I was going to the office a lot, just because to me this was just easy. I had the bronzer, I had the blush, everything just looked so beautiful and flawless on the skin. The only issue that I have with this palette, and I narrowed it down to thinking that it's the HourGlass formula, is if I use the HourGlass formula too often, I break out a little bit. I don't know if anybody else has that problem. Am I the only one? Because you would think HourGlass being so luxurious and wow and fifi and expensive that it wouldn't break you out. But I do feel like if I use this consistently, I do break out. And for the most part, usually I'm not using a product consistently. You know, I'll use it for like a week and then I have to use something else and then I have to use something else. But I did find that if I just use this one on its own and just kept on using it, every once in a while I would break out. So this is like one of those products that I just love it. I just think it's so beautiful and I do like using it, but like I'll use it one time and then give it a little break. Okay, so number 13, I'm gonna give it to the Pixie Gloss. So I remember adding this into my favorites. This is the Pixie and Chloe Morello collab, and I like this gloss a lot. I do. I still like it. It's very, very pretty. It has all these little tiny glitters in it, if you guys can see. The only thing is this year has been so crazy. So it's kind of like, it went from being like a certain, like leading up to a 2020 year, and then all of a sudden 2020 just turned into a completely different year than what the makeup world thought, you know? So it was like, they were introducing like heavier makeups, they were introducing glosses, everything was like glossy lips, and then we had to put masks on. So I mean, like, even though I really love this, I love the way it transformed the lipstick to get it like a little bit more glossy, and that was like a look I was going for. I stopped going for that look because it just doesn't make sense, because it would be all over my face, you know what I mean? Okay, so this one has almost the same issue as the Laura Mercier foundation. This is the Anastasia Luminous foundation. This was also a super nice foundation, and last year I bought a lot of foundations. In 2019, it was like a foundation year, and I feel like I had like, how many? I had 5 foundations in my favorites list because there was some really good ones. If you see me turning red, it's getting a little hot in this room, even though it's actually cold outside. Like, it's 50 something degrees. So like, I should be cold, but I'm actually getting warm. The Anastasia Luminous foundation has a very similar thing to the Laura Mercier one. It was a beautiful foundation. What an amazing launch. I love the way it looked on my skin. It's a little bit of a heavier look though. So for that reason, it's more of like a nighttime foundation for me, more something that I like to use like if I'm going to a dinner, if I'm going somewhere that I want my skin to look great. And like I said, Haven't done that this year. I've used this one more than Laura Mercier. Laura Mercier I feel like is just so beautiful and flawless that I haven't needed that look. This one gives you a little bit more skin and it's a little bit less flawless. I haven't really needed to use it. It's such a pretty foundation though, and I still highly recommend that one, especially for a higher end foundation that's not super pricey. That's such a nice foundation. It's just, where do I wear it? So number 11, I'm giving it to the Shiseido Synchro Skin Concealer. Now, I love this concealer still. I still use this. This is a concealer that to me is one that if you set it, it doesn't look as good as if you just leave it be. I like the way that this looks just if I put it on and just, you know, like blend it out, and it looks amazing. I don't set it. So if I want like a more dewy looking under eye, this is where I'll go. It doesn't make my under eyes look cakey. It looks really nice underneath the eyes, and I love this concealer. And I also like this concealer when I'm trying to cover up just a little bit more. I feel like recently I have found some other concealers that have been on my vanity that I've been using a lot more than this one. But I do feel like this one I should just like be using a little bit more often because it is so good and it's gonna, you know, go bad. So I probably should be putting this on my vanity and using it. You know how when you have like this foundation or concealer that you really love, and then for some reason you want to like save it even though it just is gonna go bad? I feel like that's what's happening with this one. I'm like, I'm not gonna use that just to be home, but then if I don't use it, it's just gonna go bad. So I'm really, I probably, Christina, you should use that. Okay, so number 10, I'm going to give it to the Carli Byble palette. Now, in the beginning of the year, this got a lot of use out of me, and I did use this a lot in the springtime. I love the way the looks looked in the springtime. In the beginning of the year, I was using this so much, and I really love the airiness that it was giving to the eyes. I was really into this whole airy look. I was loving the way that the eye makeup was looking. I was using this palette so often. It was mostly in the springtime. And then, like I said, things changed and it wasn't really like I was using this type of palette that much anymore. And this whole spring and summer that I would typically be using something like this, I wasn't really using it. Every once in a while for a video or so. And I do feel like some other palettes really like dominated this year. I got some amazing palettes this year. Like, so I feel like when I do my ranking of palettes that I purchased for the year, you guys are going to see like there was some really good releases this year. Number 9, I'm going to give it to this one. So this is the Starry Eyes to Hypnotize. I think that this was number 1 in the palettes that I bought in 2019. And that is because this is so convenient to use if you're going to an office. It's just one of those palettes that you could just do so many different eye looks with. It's very easy to use. You have beautiful, beautiful colors in here. It doesn't look like much. Like this palette doesn't have like that eye candy look to it or that curb appeal that you're like, ooh, that's so pretty. It's just a little bit more plain looking, but when you get it, you're just like, wow, I can do so much with this palette. And this was one of those palettes that in 2019 I remember using so often, like all the time. But because the world changed in 2020 and going to the office wasn't really a thing anymore, the easy to use palette was not really what I was looking for. I was just looking for things to make me feel creative. I was looking for different outlets when it came to makeup. And when it came to this was just like easy, you know, and I wasn't really looking for easy. I wasn't looking for bold, but I was just looking for something like straight down the middle. So number 8, L'Oreal Fresh Wear. This was such an awesome find. Such a great foundation, guys. So if you're looking for a drugstore foundation, I still think that this is phenomenal. It's a great drugstore foundation. This is a great product for me to use when I'm filming and stuff because it just looks so good on camera, and also it gives you a pretty nice skin-like look. So this has been something that I still have been using. It's still something that I highly recommend. I still really, really love it, even though I have not been reaching for my typical foundations this year because new foundations have released that I have been enjoying. This is one that I do feel like if it's there, I'll grab it and I'll use it, and it's not like it hurts the bank account to repurchase this 100 times. So if you're somebody looking for something that's not as expensive, you want something that you can use more daily or you have to wash off your makeup pretty fast, this is where you could go, and then you can get a more higher end foundation for when you need to wear foundation like all day. So this, oh my god, I still really like this one too. So this is the Jouer, I don't even know what it was called, diamond blushes or something like that. I don't know what the name is. I'll link it. Everything's linked if I could find it down below. I feel like this was a holiday release, or it was right before the holidays, October or something like this. And I love Jouer's blushes, but they're pricey. They're pricey. And I'm somebody who's always told you guys, like, I feel like the drugstore has really good blushes, which there's actually one in here that I'll show you guys. But I feel like this was a good way to buy Jouer because this was a nice price. You got a lot of colors in here, and I'm good to go with blushes. Like I don't feel like I needed to buy like another really expensive blush palette this year because this one gave me a lot of colors, you know? So when it comes to higher end blushes, if you can buy them at a time that they do like these type of palettes that you get a lot of colors, it's a little bit more worth it than to just buy one color and then just pay like 40 bucks for it, you know? So, okay, so here's the one that I can't find. So this is the color Glowing Gem by Charlotte Tilbury. So this is one of her lipsticks. I love this lipstick color. Now, most likely it's in a bag. That's what I think it is. I think I took it somewhere and I left it in a bag, and that's why I can't find it in the makeup room. But I also have to clean up this room. There is just so much stuff. You guys, like seriously? But anyways, I need to clean this room. So it could be misplaced somewhere or inside a purse, but I was using this color so much. I'll show you a picture of it. Beautiful color. I love this lipstick. It is so amazing. I actually discovered the Charlotte Tilbury formula last year. I know I was super late to the game. I hadn't purchased one of her lipsticks just because I thought they were expensive, and you know, I just didn't think it was worth it. It was. The foundation that I feel like I have really still really loved this year, like almost like I still can use this one, and it kind of still goes with the year. It's not like I use it as much as some of the newer ones that I've purchased, but I do really like this one. This is the Shiseido Synchro Skin. I just like the way this makes your skin look. Like it really does kind of like melt into your skin, so it doesn't really look too much like you're wearing too much makeup, but it does perfect the skin. So I really like this product, and I feel like this is the one out of all of the foundations that I showed you today that I actually have pulled out and used and been like, okay, like that's okay. It's like not too full coverage. Now, of course, you know, I do take photography and some pictures and stuff for Instagram, so sometimes I will grab into like the heavier foundations, but I do feel like when it came to like daily stuff, like let's say people were coming over or I needed to go somewhere really quick and I did want to look a little bit less unput together, this is what I would grab. Okay, so I told you guys that there is drugstore blushes in here, and it was on my 2019 top, and it still is. The Milani blushes. I actually got these in PR from Milani. I got a few of them. I think it was like 4 of them or 5, and I have 3 of them. Yeah, 3 of them sitting like right here because they're like my go-to blushes. So I do have higher end blushes like you guys have seen within the HourGlass, the Jouer, but the ones that I leave out on my vanity are these Milani blushes because they're just really good. You get a really good pigment on them, and I have never had an issue with them with my skin. My skin likes them, and a lot of beautiful colors. So I still really love those, and like I said, I think, I don't know, for me, I feel like the drugstore just has really good blushes, so I don't know, and Milani really kills it with it, so I still really like those. The number 3 is the Sunrise from Natasha Denona. So now it's funny because I would expect that this would not have been so high up there, but I feel like because this year has been so strange, it's been such a strange year. I played with this a lot. Like I feel like I just had fun with this palette, and in the beginning of the year, I was using this quite a bit at home, like just playing with the colors. Like even in the videos that you guys would see every once in a while, I was pulling out this palette and really using it up. And I feel like this is just like one of those palettes that is useful. It looks like it's very colorful, and you would think like, oh, but that's a little too bold, right? But no, like in this little section right over here, you've got so many like more airy looking colors, and you can create like a very soft lid. You don't have to always go into the deeper side and make like a deeper dramatic sunrisey look, but I feel like every time I use this, I really loved it. And this year I used it a lot too. Natasha Denona just doesn't do me wrong. Like I honestly love her, so, and I love her formula, so I just feel like, yeah, I mean like, so number 2 on the list, we're getting there, we're almost to the first one, the Tatcha Silk Canvas. So you guys know I actually purchased the big version of this. This is a great product. I love the Tatcha Silk Canvas. Anytime I put primer on, this is what I use. I'll just like dab it into the skin and kind of like push it in to the area that I have pores. Do I use primer every day? No. Do I have primer on today? No, but if I am going somewhere, or if I do want my skin to look really good, and there's times that I'm filming and I do want my skin to look like perfect, or even in a photo and stuff, that I will be using my primers and really using them on the skin, and this is the best, and this is just like, this is great. I just, honestly, I love it. All right, guys, and number 1 is Pillow Talk. So I found, ooh, this is the one Lexi destroyed. I have another one. I have a brand new one. My daughter found this one and she used it as a marker. Yes, I know, sad. But I have a brand new one somewhere sitting around here. But this is Pillow Talk, the best, most beautiful color from Charlotte Tilbury. I just kind of like swatch this one on my hand so I don't have to go crazy looking for the other one. It looks just like this. It's the perfect nude for me. I love it. I found it last year. Just, you know, people always talked about Pillow Talk and I really didn't go for the hype. I was kind of just like, okay, the mindset of like a $30 lipstick, like, come on. Like, I don't need that. Oh my goodness, it is the best. Like, honestly, guys, I love the Charlotte Tilbury formula. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lipstick. I can't get over how much I love it. And yeah, I literally use it all the time. So it was in my top favorites last year. And it's just still an amazing product that I use so often that I literally love that color. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys liked this ranking of my 2019 favorites in 2020 video. I hope it was fun for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. But thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and talk to you later.